Tammy. We are back for Dark Nights. This is probably going to be our last night here. We had 2 things of our tasting pass to use, so right now we are enjoying the All Eyes on Me. If everybody remembers, that was actually what we got to experience during our little special preview event. And then these are the Terror Tots, which we actually had both of these already, and they are very good. But the reason I wanted to pop on and do a video was to kind of talk about, is Dark Nights worth it? So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So I think there's different aspects to talk about when we're talking about, is Dark Nights worth it? Okay, so one of the first things I wanted to talk about, there went the Great Bear. We're like right next to Great Bear, it's so loud. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was the tasting pass. It's so loud. So the tasting pass was something that we bought the first weekend, and it gave us access to try 5 different items at the food booths around the park. And you would scan the QR code, you could see what items you could get with the tasting pass. This is a must. If you're coming to Dark Nights, absolutely get yourself the tasting pass, because this is gonna save you money. Unless you're just getting like drinks and desserts, that's the only thing I would say that maybe you would just want to pay out of pocket. Otherwise, if you're going to be getting some of the entree items, it definitely is worth your money to go ahead and buy a tasting pass. There was a lot of things that we got to try. Yeah, like Andrew just mentioned, a lot of it's shareable. I liked it because if we didn't love something, we didn't feel as guilty about, just paying for it up front. But everything that we tried was pretty good. Last night we tried the cheese curds for the first time. They were good. The only things, again, like some of the desserts, the red velvet brownie that we got the first weekend, there are non-alcoholic beverages that you can purchase with it as well. I would say those are some of the things that you might want to skip. Stick to more of like your entree side items where you're going to get more bang for your buck with the tasting pass. And as you can see, I'm not in the park anymore. So I had every intention on continuing to talk about Dark Nights and the is it worth it conversation at Dark Nights. But let me just tell you that on a 1 to 10 people-y crowd meter last night, Hersheypark was an 11. I have never seen the park so busy, not even in the summer. It was insane. Like, you could not walk without there being 500 people. It was so noisy between the music that they play for Dark Nights and the people. There was just not even like a quiet place to film. By the time I found like a quiet place to film, which would have been like outside of the closed Nathan's area near the entrance, it was like, okay, we're just leaving. So anyways, so back to the conversation about, is Dark Nights worth it? So I think that you can really break down Dark Nights into the 2 kind of categories as far as what you're looking to do. So you have the adult haunted house scare zone version of Dark Nights, and then you have Hersheypark Halloween. So I kind of wanted to talk about each of them separately. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the more adult geared version of Dark Nights. So Hersheypark offers 5 right now, as of this year, 2024, there were 5 different haunted houses, of which we only did 4, which I'll talk about a little bit then too. So we had not done any of the houses last night for Dark Night. So this year we went in with, we didn't know what to expect just because we had not done it previously. So this year they introduced a brand new house called Estate of Evil, which was the new haunted house for 2024. And they had all the other houses then were returned from the year prior. So it is difficult for me to kind of think about Dark Nights as its own attraction when I love Halloween Horror Nights, and it's hard for me to not compare those 2 things. It's just difficult, even though they're on totally different levels. It is hard, just because I love Halloween Horror Nights so much, and the houses there are amazing. But I will say that I think Hersheypark is doing a great job. So we were at Hersheypark on the Friday night. So right today is this is going to be Halloween week. So this was the last weekend before Halloween, and we were there Friday night, and the park wasn't busy at all. It was so nice. We were able to walk right up and do the Estate of Evil house with 0 line. Annie Mortem's had 0 line. We waited maybe 5 minutes for the Twisted Carnival house. And it was great because there was no line and we walked right up, and the house quality compared to when we went for opening weekend on September 13th, I was impressed. The scare actors did a great job. I think it just takes them a little bit to find their rhythm. And I was really impressed by the amount of jump scares that we got compared to when we were there back in September. So, with that being said, I think if you love Halloween and you love haunted attractions, Dark Knights is it's getting up there. I really do think that they're stepping up their game. The houses were pretty well done. Is it Halloween Horror Nights quality? No, but it's a great atmosphere. The vibes are fun. The scare zones are great. I loved that they had just a brand new house for this year. It seems like they're trying to do new things versus just recycling everything year after year. They are bringing new things. But if you're going to come solely to do the haunted stuff, you don't care about rides, you don't have your kids with, I would suggest if you're going to come to Dark Nights, you're going to want to come on a Friday night. So Hersheypark in during Halloween time, it's only open Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and they don't open on a Friday until 6 p.m. So on a Saturday and Sunday, the park opens at like noon. Okay, so you have a lot more time during the day to do rides and to do those different things, which we're going to talk about when we talk about the family version, more of, the whole Halloween at Hershey aspect. But if you are coming solely because you love Halloween and you love scary attractions, come on a Friday. That was the way to do it. We saw people who had Express Pass are like, I don't know why we have Express, because it was great. I mean, I don't know if every Friday night is like that. Obviously, we were there. The last Friday night we were there was opening weekend, September 13th. And it was fairly busy, but it was also opening day. I think a lot of people with families, they're not going to come on a Friday night because they don't get to enjoy the park all day, right? You get to do things during the day, and then Dark Night starts at 6 p.m. on a Saturday or Sunday. On a Friday night, when you start, Dark Nights is happening. It's good to go. So we were able to do 3 houses on a Friday night where we like practically just walked on. We would Wildcats Revenge with about a 15-minute wait. It was great. And then we went to Spirits Rooftop. So we went with my best friend and her husband on like a double date night because we had won the Bring a Friend tickets from doing the season loyalty pass challenge, and we wanted to take them. We could have done the other houses if we wanted to. We just chose not to because we were there just to kind of have fun and didn't really matter. But if you want to accomplish 5 houses, do the scare zones, even get on some roller coasters, definitely on a Friday night. Now, if you're coming as a family, we're going to talk about that because I think this is where we're going to get into a hot take of Hersheypark not necessarily being worth it. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how much a ticket price costs right now because we're season pass holders. So I'm not looking at single day tickets to Hersheypark. So I'm not really sure what people are paying to come to Hersheypark. But for us, for having a season pass, obviously it is really worth it for us to go and enjoy a night at Dark Nights. I think that it depends how far you're coming, where you're coming from, what other expenses are going to be involved with your trip. Because if you do love Halloween and, you're local to central Pennsylvania and you don't have to pay for lodging on a Friday night and you're really not spending a lot of money for travel, trip expenses, yeah, come enjoy it. It's great. The house quality is good. I mean, we do have other haunts in our area. It's been a couple years since we've been to those. We've been to Field of Screams, Jason's Woods, Shocktoberfest. I've even been out to Penhurst Asylum, Eastern State Penitentiary. Pennsylvania we have a lot of haunts here. But I mean, Dark Nights also there are, some little entertainment. There's a show that's more geared towards kids. It's not like HHM where we have Nightmare Fuel and it's this like adult, kind of style show. But if you're going to come in just, maybe a Friday night. So now we're going to talk about the opposite end of the spectrum. If you're a family coming for Hersheypark Halloween, maybe you're not as interested in doing the houses. If you have smaller children, this is where I think I'm going to have a hot take and say, I don't think Hersheypark is worth it to come in the fall. I am a loyal season pass holder. We love Hersheypark. We're at Hersheypark all the time. But I will tell you that there are a lot of rides that are not operating, kiddie rides particularly. So right now, Hersheypark isn't going to be staffed at as full capacity because a lot of their workers are kids that are in school, college students, even high school students. And I always notice that in fall, just a lot of the kiddie rides aren't open because they just don't have the staffing to support it. And yesterday, the park was so insanely busy, you could barely walk. I mean, there were wait times, really high wait times for all of the rides, not necessarily like your really kiddie, like toddler rides, but I just think if you're coming to Hersheypark as a family, it's probably better bang for your buck to come in the summer when they have the boardwalk open. I mean, of course, Zoo America is open at any time. That's year round as well. But I just think that, for the only thing that they really do extra is they had the trick or treat trail, the Treatville Trail, which I did a video on, which is great. But I mean, you get about like 10 pieces of candy. It's not like they go all out with decorating. Yes, it's pretty with the lights on, but I just think that it's not necessarily worth it. So we did notice when we were there on Friday night that trick or treat closed at 8:30 p.m. So even if you were there with your kids for like, especially on a Friday night, like you only had 2.5 hours before Treatville closed. That's not a lot of time. So that's just something else to kind of think about and plan accordingly. Additionally, the food booths in the park, they closed an hour before the park did. So if you do buy a tasting pass, just make sure that you're getting to the booths before they close for the end of the day, because you don't want to be left, especially if you're not local like we are and we go back multiple times to use our pass. You don't want to be stuck with passes you can't be used because the food booths close. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, so in summary, if you're coming to Hersheypark solely for the haunts, yes, it's worth it. Come on a Friday night. You don't need to buy like their fast track express option. We did really well with just walking on, and it was a nice weather night. If you're coming on a Saturday, be prepared that you're going to be waiting a long time to enjoy those attractions. And in my opinion, the houses are good. Are they worth waiting 90 minutes? I don't know. I mean, it's to each their own. For us, it's hard not to compare to HHN when we were waiting 90 minutes for these big intellectual property houses like Insidious, Quiet Place, even last year, Stranger Things, some Last of Us. So to each their own. So if you're going to come for the haunts, come on a Friday night. It's worth it. It's a fun experience. If you're coming as a family to Hersheypark, I don't know. I think just summertime in general is the way to go. And you can guarantee that kiddie rides are going to be open. You're not going to see as many closures. The Treatville itself does not make coming to Hersheypark in the fall worth it, in my opinion, especially now that they've added a summertime show, hopefully that they will bring back for next year. They do have the Halloween themed show right now for kids, but in the summer they had a really cute kid themed summer show at the Music Box Theater. I mean, it's one of those things that, it's just something to think about. The boardwalk itself is included with your ticket price, and it really does make the price of Hersheypark worth it to be able to have access to the water park and the rides. If you are planning a trip to Hersheypark and have questions, an idea for me to do a video, we are season pass holders. We already renewed our season passes for 2025, and I'm looking forward to making some new videos into the new year. Please leave me a comment below, like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm looking forward to bringing more content to you next year. This year, we are going to be covering Christmas time at Hershey, which is a whole different ballgame. So I'm looking forward to doing some videos on that. But thank you so much for watching.